Li Ke was exiled to the wilderness to protect his childhood sweetheart, but he never expected that in order to achieve wealth and prosperity, the latter would turn around and marry his enemy. Fortunately, Li Ke obtained the divine level war system. Survive in the first-class battlefield and gain the loyalty of Wei Wuzu. Survive on the second-level battlefield and gain loyalty from the Xuanjia army. When he stepped on the enemy's corpses in the battlefield time and time again, becoming the person who ultimately survived, and establishing the supreme Immortal Dynasty, overlooking the world. Those who gave up on him back then knelt on the ground trembling. What did I miss? Chapter 1. System Activation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Congratulations to the host, 99% of the Divine Level War system has been installed and is expected to activate in 6 hours. At that time, the host will receive a large gift package. The faint sound in his mind finally perked up the weakly quiet spirits. Smelling the pungent smell of blood on the body. The cold wind blowing from time to time in the wilderness made his wound as if it had been sprinkled with salt. Lying curled up on the ground, panting heavily, the blood-stained single garment undulated up and down with his breathing. Like a bellows, emitting a wheezing sound. Not far away, there is a group of soldiers guarding themselves. They light a campfire, drink alcohol, and are chatting and laughing. Listening to Li Ke's ears, it was exceptionally piercing. Our 9th prince is really unlucky. He used to be a nobleman of the emperor, but now he has become a prisoner and will stay in this wilderness. I heard there is a quite fierce tribe of barbarians nearby. After we leave tomorrow, we may not live long either. It's not because of women, beauty is a disaster. In order to stand out as childhood sweethearts, I became like this, but the other person wanted to marry an enemy. It's really a joke. Looking at the 9th prince lying on the side, someone said angrily. But he was held back by his companions beside him. What are you talking nonsense about? If the centurion hears about it, he's afraid he'll kill you now. What's going on in the palace is something we can talk about. After the sound reached this point, it had abruptly stopped. It also made Li Ke involuntarily fall into memories. 16 years ago, he traveled to this world and became the 9th son of the Xia emperor. He discovered that the people here could cultivate and even move mountains and seas to high and deep places. My mother doesn't hold a high position in the palace, but fortunately, they rely on each other and don't have to worry about food and drink. As for my father, I only looked at him from a distance during the ceremony at the imperial temple. In Li Ke's impression, he was a ruthless hero who only cared about the strength of the great Xia and the recognition of the main lineage of China. They have the Li surname in the great Xia, which is a branch of China. It is said that in the land of China, there is a top-level heavenly dynasty created by the ancestors of the Li family. Therefore, each generation of Xia emperors seeks to regain the recognition of the main lineage. Even at any cost. But all because they are located in the wilderness and too weak, without any outstanding places, they ultimately cannot be achieved. And this has also become the obsession of every generation of Xia emperors. These things have nothing to do with him originally, all he needs to do is live a good life with his mother. But who would have thought that just a month ago, the crown prince's uncle would flirt with Su Yu, the daughter of the minister of personnel, who could be considered his childhood sweetheart. Li Ke, who happened to be present, naturally wouldn't back down and had a conflict with the national uncle. This caused the crown prince to be furious and even ordered someone to imprison him overnight. At this moment, I vaguely remember the scene of my mother pleading in front of my father. But what arrived was the cold gaze of the other party and the will to be sent to the wilderness. And all of this is just because of the crown prince's talent, surpassing the great summer. The master of her mother empress was also the head of the first sect of the great Xia and the Changhe sect. In the eyes of Emperor Xia, in order for the Xia to develop steadily and return to his ancestral lineage, he could not do without the crown prince with the most outstanding talent, as well as the support of the Changhe sect. As for Li Ke's mother and son, it doesn't matter much. Step on it. At this moment, a sound of horse hooves sounded. Pull Li Ke back from his memories to reality. Then, a group of people and horses rushed straight into the camp. Li Ke stared straight at the leader. This is a woman, dressed in a moon-white long dress, with sparkling skin that reflects a bit under the moon. Her appearance is stunning, but her thin lips appear a bit harsh. He is undoubtedly his childhood sweetheart, Su Yu. Then, the other party slowly walked towards Li Ke. My mother was good to you back then. Based on her past relationship, tell me how she is now. Li Ke couldn't help but ask as she looked at the approaching figure. Pa. A man in armor following Su Yu whipped his whip in his hand. He hit Li Ke hard on the face, leaving a bloodstain. Our ninth wife has been recommended by the Empress to study immortal techniques in the Changha sect. What kind of relationship does she have with you? Your old lady has already been sent to the cold palace. If you want to meet, wait for the next life. Li Ke ignored the Jia Shi and just stared at Su Yu. He, I heard that after you knew that the person who teased you was the uncle of the current dynasty, he took the initiative to go to the other party's mansion. It seems like he didn't give anything in vain, so he joined the immortal sect. Ha ha ha. The more Li Ke said, the louder his voice became. Cough. Or perhaps due to excessive grief and anger, blood was spat out from both the mouth and nose. But Su Yu did not respond, just looked at the man beside her and said. After dawn, Your Highness 9 should be released in this wilderness. Please send him off on my behalf. Everyone in the imperial city knows about the relationship between Su Yu and Li Quebec. So before entering the sect for cultivation, in order not to cause misunderstandings from her uncle, she decided to take a detour and solve Li Ke well. After giving orders, Xia turned around and left, surrounded by a large number of maids and guards. It seems that looking at Li Ke more is a blasphemy towards oneself. Only the man remained, looking at Li Ke with a fierce expression on his face. He is a colonel under the command of his uncle, who can whip the prince, even if it is a fallen prince, it is enough to satisfy his inner vanity. And Li Ke was not speaking, just curled up next to the stone, waiting for the system to activate. After giving him a cold glance, the captain also sat by the campfire and started drinking, but Li Ke could feel that the other person's eyes had not left him. One night passed in a blink of an eye. The next day, when it was just beginning to dawn, the young captain who was left behind by Su Yu said to the centurion escorting the team. Everyone prepare to go back, just leave the ninth prince here. Your Majesty's order is to send the ninth prince to the village of the barbarians, and there are quite a few brutal barbarians nearby. Before the centurion could finish speaking, the young general waved his hand and interrupted the other person's voice. Just follow my instructions and do as I say. What's so serious about you as a mere centurion here? The centurion pursed his lips, ultimately leaving Li Ke in the wilderness and slowly leaving with his people. This scene made Li Ke's face show a hint of vigilance. And that year, the young captain leaned in his ear and said, Your Highness, if you have any last words now, feel free to say them. But don't worry, I won't listen. When everyone walks away later, I can see you off. When the words fall, just turn the horse's head around and wander around. Obviously, he is waiting for the 100-man team to leave. Feeling the cold gaze from the other person from time to time. A hint of perseverance appeared on Li Ke's face, indicating that he could not die. I have to seek revenge and save my mother. He must make the Xia Emperor regret it. And at this moment, in my mind, the sound of the system finally sounded. System energy storage completed, activating, congratulations to the host. The system has been activated and the host has received a large gift package. Do you want to activate it now? At this time, Li Ke naturally won't hesitate. As the team of 100 people moved further and further away, Yinhuan's subordinates might take action in the next moment. The system was his only hope for survival. Therefore, he immediately spoke up and said, check in. Congratulations to the host, you have received a big gift package, which rewards you with the ultimate coagulation battle body, the next level, and the bloodthirsty divine body. Congratulations to the host, you have received a big gift package and will be rewarded with 10 years of cultivation. Congratulations to the host for receiving the big gift package, rewarding divine weapons and dragon sparrow saber. Congratulations to the host, you have received a big gift package and will be rewarded with the Imperial level skill, 5 Emperors of the Heavenly Life Technique. After the sound sounded, a hint of joy appeared on Li Kei's face. The physical constitution of this world, from low to high, is divided into mortal body, spiritual body, combat body, tidal combat body, divine body, and each physique is further subdivided into 4 levels. Top-notch, and top-notch. That crown prince is just an excellent spiritual body, already recognized as a genius by the great Xiao, and should not be taken care of by the Emperor of Xiao. Now, I have obtained the coagulation war body, but it is a truly top-notch combat body. Not to mention being a mere Imperial Dynasty in Daxia, even within an Imperial Dynasty, it is very rare. At this moment, Li Kei's physique finally began to change. Originally around 1.75 meters tall, it has now grown to around 1.9 meters. The external injuries on the body are also healing rapidly, and the muscles are becoming tighter. My whole body has also gained more strength. Her long hair spread out all over her head. Give people a masculine and domineering feeling. Glancing at the young captain, I realized that the other party had not noticed me. Li Kuei directly used his cultivation for 10 years. At the same time, the acquired techniques were also put into operation. The cultivation of the world, from low to high, is divided into quenching body, forging bones, moving blood, true element, vigorous chi, innate, attracting chi, condensing pill, golden pill, purple mansion, divine element, immortality equal realm. Each realm is further divided into 9 levels. Li Kei's talent is average, and he has already reached the 9th level of physical quenching. Now, with the blessing of 10 years of cultivation, promoting God-level cultivation, it is even more soaring. Forge your bones. Forge bone twice. It only stopped when it reached the true element triple. After feeling the surging power within his body, Li Kei couldn't help but roar. Then, a large amount of memories flooded into his mind. This is the method to turn on the system. Originally, as long as one goes to the battlefield and can survive, they can receive rewards. Moreover, the more dangerous the battlefield, the more rewards one will receive. All battlefields are divided into 9 levels, with the lowest level being the 1st level battlefields and the highest level being the 9th level battlefields. Each product is further subdivided into low-level, intermediate, advanced, and purgatory levels. That's not bad, but in this world, battles are always indispensable. When I think of this, a smile appeared on his face. Then, his gaze fell on the young captain wandering in the distance. When his murderous heart gradually rose, the system voice in his mind had already sounded. Detected enemies around the host, battlefield level, 1st level low-level battlefield. At the next moment, Li Kei's figure was like that of a cheetah, and he rushed out directly. That colonel only has a cultivation level of 9 levels of blood. Li Kuei is much stronger than in the past, but he is not as impressive as he is now. Moreover, I never expected that the opponent, who was already on the brink of death, would suddenly launch an attack. At this moment, he was still investigating whether the newly departed team of 100 had gone far. Then, I felt a bad wind coming from above my head. Bang! Don't wait to react. At the next moment, with the sound of a clash of gold and iron, as if struck by lightning, the whole person loses consciousness. My body fell directly off the horse. At a distance of 100 meters, Li Kuei arrived in an instant and punched the opponent's head, even shattering the iron armor into pieces. The speed was too fast, and the young captain didn't have time to react. Then, in Li Kuei's mind, the system sounded at this moment. Congratulations to the host for surviving in the low-level battlefield of the first level. Reward 1 true yuan dan. After hearing the system prompt, Li Kuei turned around and glanced at the level, but he didn't dare to stop. He immediately rode his warhorse towards the depths of the wilderness. If people know that he not only recovers from his injuries, but also breaks through his cultivation, he will undoubtedly die. You should know that the strongest of the Imperial Dynasty exists in the realm of immortality. He is far from what he is now and can rival him. Until running more than 10 miles away, as the sky gradually darkened. Li Kuei found a place with a back wind and sat down. Simultaneously lit a bonfire. Washed the wild chicken caught while running for its life by the pond and bake it on the flames. As the night deepened, when the aroma of meat filled the air, Li Kuei picked up the roasted wild chicken and wolfed it down. These days, the officers and soldiers guarding him have not given him enough food. After running for another night, I was naturally too hungry to bear it. After finishing the chicken, I swallowed the true yuan pill I obtained today. Then, a warm current spread around the body. Bang! After a moment, there was a slight sound inside the body, but Li Kuei broke through again. The cultivation has reached the 4th level of true element. Whew! After taking a long breath, I saw that the campfire was almost burned out and was about to add some firewood. Only then did I realize that someone had run over from a distance, a very thin and weak figure, and seemed to have injuries on his body. When walking, he stumbled and stumbled. Following behind were 10 savages, wielding weapons and emitting an excited and ferocious roar from their mouths. After seeing such a situation, Li Kuei was not prepared to pay attention. There were many poor people in this world, and he was one of them. If he had to meddle in everything, he might not have lived long. However, just as he was preparing to rest, those savages seemed to have noticed him and sent several people rushing towards him. At the same time, the sound of the system also rang in Li Kuei's mind. Detected enemies around the host, battlefield level, 1st level low-level battlefield. Chapter 2. Encounter. You are listening at novel full.audio. At this point, Li Kuei moved. Since he couldn't avoid it, he had to kill, not to mention the reward. He flashed a light in his hand and directly received the dragon sparrow blade. This is a straight-back wide knife. The blade is 1 meter long, shining with a cold light. There is a golden dragon pattern on the back, and the handle is 1 foot long, engraved with dragon scales. When held in hand, the body already leaps high. The blade struck down at an extremely fast speed. The newly arrived barbarians didn't have time to react. Sting! He directly shattered his body, but the opponent in the quenched state was not Li Kuei's opponent at all. Then, he stood in the rain of blood, without stopping his movements, as the blade swung around. Shit! As if he had grown back eyes, the remaining 5 people had just gathered around when he chopped off their heads. Li Kuei stomped down on the ground with his right leg. The whole body was ejected like a shell. The body rushed out tens of meters in an instant. It landed in front of the barren people who were chasing the thin and weak figure. The blade danced like a horse, crashing into the crowd. Every strike of the war knife brings a large amount of blood rain. After a moment, when all the barbarians died in the field, only Li Kuei stood in place, towering and motionless. However, as the killing had just ended, he felt a soft sensation behind him. At some point, the thin and weak figure that had just been chased had already embraced him. His body moved slightly. Bang! Just as he was about to raise his sword and kill the opponent, he directly shook them back. Turning around, I realized that the other person was actually a woman with a flushed face. A pair of watery eyes. Her head was covered in green hair that scattered freely. Her stunning appearance was a suffocation that even Li Kuei couldn't help but feel. Obviously, she was drugged. Moreover, the woman's body occasionally shimmered with light, like runes, appearing very supernatural in the night sky. "Help me, otherwise I'll die." The woman's soft and astonishingly charming voice sounded, and the next moment she lost her sanity. Rushed towards Li Kuo again. Regarding this, Li Ke was caught in hesitation. But ultimately, I couldn't hold back. After a night of madness, Li Kutsai woke up leisurely the next day. But beside me, there was no longer the figure of the woman, just like having a dream. However, looking at the mess on the ground and the bloodstains on the white robe left by the woman, Li Kun knew that it was all true. Meanwhile, the sound of the system rang out in his mind. Congratulations to the host for surviving in the first-level battlefield. Reward 100 Wei soldiers, cultivation. Moving blood 9 times, blade. Tianwu shield, breaking wind spear, armor. Cloud pattern heavy armor, implanting identities. They are followers of the host's past who, upon learning that the host has arrived in the wilderness, come to seek refuge and are expected to arrive in half an hour. After the sound falls, Li Ke let out a long breath. Finally, I don't need to walk alone in the wilderness. And at this moment, on the other side, in a vast palace complex in Shenzhou, the figure of a woman slowly appeared. She was wearing a red phoenix robe, with sparkling skin that shone brightly in the sunlight. On her stunning appearance, there is a hint of anger. Make the palace maids around dare not approach. Bang! When entering his own dormitory, the door tightly closed. The deafening sound made all the maids outside kneel on the ground. And the peerless woman who entered the palace sat on the bed, unable to help but freeze in place. She is the daughter of the Dayu Immortal Dynasty and has been working as a proton in the Xinyu Immortal Dynasty for many years. Now that the Immortal Emperor's lifespan is approaching, she is about to fall. Let her return to accept the inheritance and ascend the throne at the same time. But who would have thought that they were ambushed halfway and all the guards died in battle? Despite being protected by the commander of the guards, she rushed out with all her might. But who would have thought that he had been hit by the most vicious Tiandi Yin-Yang powder? Not only was his cultivation restricted, but he also had to cultivate with others to survive, otherwise he would explode and die. From childhood to adulthood, this was her most humiliating memory. The most despicable thing is that after relieving the medication, he couldn't bear to take action and killed the person who had taken advantage of him. The Grand Immortal Realm Master can only run back crying. It really makes her angry. Anyway, he saved my life, I shouldn't hate him, the woman murmured softly. Then, after taking a deep breath, he said to the maid outside, "I want to take a shower." When the voice sounded, the group of maids quickly retreated. Facing the future empress, I naturally dare not neglect her. The imperial power in this world is divided from low to high into dynasties, imperial dynasties, heavenly dynasties, immortal dynasties. If a dynasty can be easily exterminated, then an imperial dynasty can easily overthrow countless dynasties. As for the heavenly kingdom, it is known as the upper kingdom, which can overlook the existence of countless beings. In the case of the immortal dynasty, it is also a legendary existence, a true pillar of the human race, which can make the heavenly kingdom worship and demonstrate its power. No matter how many dynasties, imperial dynasties, or heavenly dynasties are, they must rely on the protection of the immortal dynasty in order to survive. If Li Kuei found out that the woman who was practicing with him was actually the empress of the future immortal dynasty, he would probably be surprised. However, at this time, But I don't think about it in this way. At this moment, on the wilderness, a team dressed in black armor, holding a cloud-patterned shield and carrying battle spears, appeared next to Li Quebec. These people have towering figures, each over 1.8 meters tall. Having sufficient qi and blood, wearing armor makes one appear even more powerful. He is undoubtedly a soldier of Wei Wuzu. In another era, they were considered the strongest infantry. Just as he approached Li Kuei, he excitedly said, "See your highness." The centurion, who was leading the way, roared with tears in his eyes, "Oh my goodness! We chased after you all the way out of the pass, and finally we met your highness." When he was speaking, he hugged Li Kei's leg and burst into tears. Obviously, the memory implanted in the system is really very effective. "Let's all get up now, haven't we met now?" Li Kuei smiled and said. After his words fell, the centurion stood up and said, "Your Highness, from now on, I, Zhang Meng, and my subordinates, have followed you. We will go wherever you go." "Okay, no matter where we go in the future, I'll take you with me, but let's find a place to settle down next," said Li Kuei with a relieved expression on his face. After all, the food, drink, and salad for 100 people is not so easy to solve. The best way now is to find a deserted village. Speaking of these barbarians, they are actually human beings, but they have a strong personality and do not like to be enslaved, so they never actively seek refuge with neighboring countries. Unless it is a plane where powerful entities appear, they can be integrated together to establish a country. Nevertheless, life will be very difficult. However, it has also honed a strong personality. Speaking of which, the birth of every dynasty is due to the wilderness they are in, where a true hero has emerged, who can integrate the people of the wilderness together. Even the Immortal Dynasty is no exception. The place where Li Kei is now located is the Baishui Wilderness, adjacent to the Great Xia. It is said that no one knows how big this wilderness is, but only knows that the deeper it is, the more dangerous it is, and the stronger the strength of the wilderness people inside. There are even descendants of the ancestors of the human race. Even people from the Immortal Dynasty will hide and walk. It can be said that it is the largest wilderness of the entire human race, so no one has ever been able to conquer this land. Therefore, the depths of the Whitewater Wasteland have almost become a forbidden area for the human race. However, Li Kei is very interested in this place. "I want to see if the Whitewater Wilderness is really as terrifying as rumored." And while Li Kei was preparing to walk inside with his subordinates, but a shout came from afar. Undoubtedly, there are savages who have come to search for their companions. After all, with so many deaths yesterday, a tribe of savages will naturally not be ignored. According to Li Kei's observation, this barbarian tribe should belong to a relatively brutal category. When they see the human race coming out of the city, they will take the initiative to launch an attack. Sure enough, as they approached, after discovering Li and his companions, a barbarian threw his spear without hesitation. Li Kei dodged sideways. At the same time, the system sounds in the mind. Detected enemies around the host, battlefield level, first level low.level battlefield. At this moment, Li Kei did not hesitate and immediately said, "Kill." Then, carrying the dragon sparrow blade and 100 Wei soldiers under his command, he rushed out. Chapter 3. Battlefield Fighting. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The number of these barbarians who came is probably around 100 people. They hold long knives and battle spears. The cultivation of the leader should be in the 9th level of moving blood, and cannot be considered weak. In the court of the Great Xia dynasty, one should be able to hold the position of centurion. Judging from his attire, he should be the leader of the tribe. At this moment, holding a long sword in his hand, he charged straight towards him. The animal's skin on the body is stirred by the strong wind, making hunting sounds. However, although this leader of the wilderness is strong, he is still slightly inferior to Li Quebec. Just as the other party rushed over, Li Kei's blade has already swept out. When the astonishing blade burst out, the leader of the barbarians was directly chopped to pieces. And the Wei soldiers on the side rushed out without hesitation. The heavy armor on his body made a clicking sound as he ran. When the spear was pierced, there was a deafening sound. I saw a homeless person who had not yet reacted and was directly pierced through his head. He collapsed straight on the ground. The battle of over 100 people did not take much time. After the battle is over, In Li Kuei's mind, the system sound rang out again. Congratulations to the host for surviving on a low-level battlefield and gaining the loyalty of 100 Wei soldiers, implanting identity. They are your past followers who are now coming to join you. It is expected that they will come to the host's side in half an hour. As the sound sounded, a smile appeared on Li Kuei's face, and he received another 100 people. That's not bad. Next, he plans to integrate the barren people on the Baishui wilderness and establish a strong country on this land. Then fight back to seek revenge. Let the Xia emperor see how blind he is. Then, looking at the centurion Zhang Meng beside him, he said, since there are barbarians here, it means there should be a tribe of barbarians here. Let's go and take a look. When the words fell, he walked towards the front. Sure enough, before walking out for a while, I saw a tribe really appearing ahead. Cooking smoke rises faintly, and the entire tribe leans against a lake, occasionally seeing children playing by the water. There are also women washing clothes. It seems quite harmonious. In terms of population, it cannot be considered too large, around 1,000 people. After seeing such a scene, Li Kuei didn't hesitate. After giving a few instructions to Zhang Mengfen, a soldier turned back and in a moment saw the other person walking over with a human head, clearly belonging to the tribal leader he had just killed. Then, Li Kuei slowly walked towards the tribe. At this moment, the people inside seemed to also see them. Many soldiers ran out. These people are extremely tough, wearing animal skins, and only a very few people wear clothes made of fabric. The barbarians are the favorite of merchants from several nearby dynasties and imperial dynasties. The latter will bring iron, refined salt, cloth, porcelain from their own country, and exchange animal skins and various medicinal herbs with the barbarians on the outskirts of the Baishui wasteland. Therefore, the pot is full of profits. The leader of the wilderness is an old man, who is a sacrificial priest of the tribe, leaning on a cane and staring at Li Kuei, saying, "What do you want to do?" "I won't do anything. Your leader has already died in my hands. I will give you a chance. You submit to me and I will be your leader. From then on, I will lead you to live a good life. If you don't agree, I will kill all of you. Don't doubt my strength." Li Kuei's voice rang out. There was restlessness among the barbarians in the tribe, and some young people were even ready to charge forward with their weapons. However, it was indeed stopped by their sacrifice. "Stop it." Then, everyone around stopped their hand movements. The leader of the sacrificial ceremony looked at Li Kuei and said, "The person in your hand is not our leader, he is the leader of the Blackwater tribe. However, more than 10 tribes near us have been troubled by him for a long time, and many of their people have died at the hands of the Blackwater tribe. If you can destroy the Blackwater tribe, not only our Yunshui tribe, but also more than 10 tribes near Yunshui Lake are willing to submit to you." Li Kuei did not expect that the leader he killed was not from this tribe. However, when he heard that as long as the Blackwater tribe was destroyed, he could make more than 10 nearby tribes submit, he didn't hesitate and immediately said, "Okay, since that's the case, I won't be too verbose. You can bring the leaders of the nearby tribes and make them swear, and I will destroy this Blackwater tribe." He threw the ground with a sound. The old priest didn't say much and quickly sent someone to deliver the message. Then, surprisingly, a lot of food was delivered, thanking Li Kuei for killing the leader of the Blackwater tribe. The other party naturally won't be polite either. When the immediate person lit a bonfire at the original location, preparing to cook and eat. After all, after fighting for so long, he was also hungry. Later, I learned the reason from the mouth of this sacrifice. The lake in front of me was called Yunshui Lake, surrounded by 12 tribes. Each tribe looks like thousands of people. Other tribes are pretty good, at least they won't actively attack others and rely on fishing and hunting for a living. Only this Blackwater tribe is the most brutal and powerful, with nearly 10,000 people. The surrounding tribes have been invaded by them. Many people died at the hands of the Blackwater tribe. Even some people have suggested migration, but with so many people, there is no good way to migrate. Even if we really find a new habitat, we don't know how many people will die. Hear the explanation of the sacrifice. Li Kuei immediately said, "I'll take care of this matter." Although Blackwater has a large population, Li Kuei and his team have absolute strength. So, I'm not afraid either. At this moment, the food was also ready. After delivering a piece of grilled meat to Li Kuei, Zhang Meng also swallowed it in large gulps. Obviously, he is also really hungry. When a meal is about to finish. In the distance, a group of Wei soldiers really arrived again. When they saw Li Kuei, their faces also showed excitement. After a mutual recognition, the tribal leaders nearby also arrived one after another. There are a total of 11 people with decent cultivation, all of whom are in the realm of moving blood. After seeing Li Kuei, everyone indeed made a solemn oath. As long as the other party can solve the Blackwater department, these people will all obey his orders. Obviously, they have really been tricked by the Blackwater tribe. Although these barbarians have a rebellious personality, they are much simpler than those in the dynasty, and they don't have as many frivolous thoughts. Li Kuei can also trust them. With so many tribes combined, the population of a small county town in Daxia is at its peak. If it can be tamed, it would be best. After finding a guide, Li Kuei, who was full of food and drink, led his people towards the Blackwater tribe. The surrounding tribes are not far from each other. In an hour, a tribe appeared in front of them. This tribe is different from other tribes in that its buildings are more terrifying. Moreover, there are actually a large number of white bones piled up outside the village. The guide beside him whispered, "After the Blackwater tribe kills, they like to hang enemy corpses on flagpoles to air dry. That's how those corpses should all come from." When the voice sounded, looking at the Blackwater tribe, a hint of fear appeared in my eyes. At this moment, the people in that tribe obviously also discovered Li Kuei and others. Surprisingly, a team of thousands of people rushed out. After meeting, a swarm of bees rushed up. At this moment, the sound of the system rang out in Li Kuei's mind. Detected enemies around the host, battlefield level, first level, intermediate level. Li Kuei's spirit was uplifted. Finally arrived at a higher level battlefield. I don't know how the reward will be. When I thought of this, I raised my long sword and was the first to charge out. The Wei soldiers behind closely followed. Chapter 4. Surrender. You are listening at novel.Audio. Fighting on the battlefield is all about spelling the word brave, with momentum as the top priority. Especially when the number of people on our side is small. It is even more necessary to have fearless courage and intimidate the enemy. At this point, it is natural for both sides to avoid stage fright when facing each other. Li Kuei's footsteps are extremely fast, the cultivation of Xuanjia's quadruple cultivation burst out, just a reflection. The blade had already landed on the neck of the leader of the Blackwater tribe across from him. Blood light suddenly appeared, and a great head had already flown high. The Wei soldiers followed closely behind, their armor blades colliding and emitting a clanging sound. The shield covers the body, and the spear advances forward. The footsteps are not hurried or slow, but with each step taken, people from the Blackwater tribe are picked out and flown out. Stable and heavy. Although the number of people is not large, there are too many people with stronger strength and equipment than the tribe. In a short period of time, the blood that has been killed flows into a river. And it was during Li Kuei's slaughter on the battlefield. At this moment, on the other side, inside the Chaotian Hall of the Great Xia Imperial City, Emperor Li Ren was reviewing memorials, covered in a golden mist, majestic and mysterious. Li Kuei's incident did not cause any ripples in his heart. Now I'm afraid I've already forgotten. The development of Daxia and its integration into the ancestral lineage is what he is most concerned about. Nowadays, with so many years of development and a dense population, the territory occupied by the court seems somewhat narrow. Resources are even more powerless to succeed. Several nearby imperial dynasties were at their peak, and it was obviously impossible to attack cities and seize territories. The only way to change the current situation is to go into the Baishui wasteland and cultivate it. But that place, apart from the locals, is a forbidden area for foreign strong people, afraid of being intercepted by strong people deep in the wilderness. He is weak in cultivation and unable to establish himself, which really gives him a headache. Step on it. The sound of hurried footsteps outside the hall rang out. The elderly maid wearing a red flying fish suit walked in. Her gray hair was covered in wrinkles, but her eyes were shining with brilliance. Bow your waist and be very careful. He is the general manager of the great Xia imperial city, Yuxian. It is said that his cultivation has reached the immortal realm and he is also one of the most trusted people by the Xia emperor. Your Majesty, there has just been news from Shenzhou that the main bloodline of the Great Flame Heavenly Dynasty's bloodline treasure has appeared. It has been found in the branches outside, and a titled battle body has been found. The Zhongjing mansion has ordered all regions to conduct self-inspections. If any bloodline has a titled battle body, they can directly recognize their ancestors and return to their ancestral home, rewarding them with a portion of immortal resources. The voice was gentle, but it sounded like thunder in the ears of Emperor Xia. After so many years, there has finally been news from the Heavenly Kingdom. Unexpectedly, there were wandering branches that discovered the tidal battle body, which was second only to the existence of the divine body. I don't know which one it is, but it's so lucky to have a dragon. If it were in summer, that would be great. After a moment of contemplation, he said, notify the Daxia royal family to start self-inspection. Although he is well aware of the talents of the royal disciples, he still harbors a hint of fantasy. What if they are really people of the Li family in Daxia? Even if there is a 1 in 10,000 chance, he doesn't want to miss it. As for the immortal resources, he is even more eager. Above immortality lies the earth immortal realm. If he can achieve this step, it can be considered that he has truly achieved immortality for 10,000 years, immortality for 1,000 years, and longevity for 10,000 years, which is enough for him to squander and push his cultivation to a higher level. Yes, Your Majesty. Yu Xian responded cautiously, as an old slave beside the Xia emperor. He understands the other person's thoughts the most. How can he not know that recognizing one's ancestors and returning to their ancestors is the obsession of his master, and regards it as a lifelong honor? Although I knew in my heart that the Xia royal family might not have this opportunity, I still carefully accepted it. Is there anything else? Emperor Xia continued, seeing that Yu Xian had not left. Yes, there is one more thing that has been passed down from the Immortal Dynasty. We have ordered all forces to dispatch capable descendants to clean up and educate the peripheral barbarians. We have also started making the Young Dragon list. Those who make it to the top 10 will be eligible to go to the Immortal Dynasty to worship. This news spread, and the golden mist around the body of the Xia Emperor couldn't help but become chaotic. If the news of the tidal war body was a thunderous blow to Emperor Xia, then this news is enough to shake the earth. There has been no news of the Immortal Dynasty for many years, that is the true giant. The legendary existence, to my surprise, has now also received news. The Immortal Dynasty is finally going to take action against the Baishui wasteland. Can we find out the specific reason? Your Majesty, it seems that some forces on the outskirts of the Baishui wasteland have offended some important figure in the Immortal Dynasty. Yu Xian said with caution. The great Xia dynasty established strongholds in the most prosperous city of the human race, Fengyun City, all year round, in order to collect information. There has never been any useful news in the past. This time, it finally played a role. Tell the Crown Prince to prepare and head to the Baishui wasteland in half a month. In the early stage, we will allocate 1 million stones of grain and grass, 3,000 craftsmen, and 3,000 great Xia's fire army to be under his command. If we can make a breakthrough in the Baishui wasteland this time, even if we don't have any combat equipment, our great Xia still has hope of returning to our ancestors. Nowadays, among the younger brothers of the Xia in his later life, the only one who can make a move is the Crown Prince. It is obviously impossible for experts to enter a forbidden place like the Whitewater Wasteland. We'll set out to pursue the strong in the depths. This can be considered the limit to providing help to the other party. If strengthened, it may cause dissatisfaction among the deep beings in the wilderness, and even the Immortal Dynasty may not be able to save itself. I think the lineup of other dynasties is also similar. Even the emperors, heavenly dynasties, and dispatched people fall within this category. Whether it's Jackie Chan or not depends on this one. Old slave, go now. Yu Xian said with caution. Then, he withdrew from the main hall, heading all the way towards the prince's palace. As he passed by the cold palace, the mournful atmosphere emanating from it made Yu Xian shake his head involuntarily. It's a pity that the 9th prince is such a well-behaved child. I'm afraid it's gone now. The Baishui wasteland is the most dangerous place, without anyone to take care of it, and it can't survive for a whole night. As the birth mother of the 9th prince, Empress Qing may find it difficult to leave this cold palace in this lifetime. Immediately after, Yu Xian accelerated his pace. This is the case in the harem, there are many similar things. Although sympathetic, it is impossible. It's better to convey the message to the crown prince as soon as possible. Don't delay the time and make the other party unhappy. At this moment, Li Kei's battle with the Blackwater tribe savages had already come to an end. Although he only has over 200 people under his command. However, strong combat power and sophisticated equipment are not just words. On the ground, there are corpses of barbarian soldiers everywhere. Nearly 1,000 people who had just rushed out have been completely killed. The soldiers who rushed out later dared not step forward. The originally fierce face was filled with fear. Surrender or die, choose for yourself. Nowadays, what Wang Zheng needs the most is manpower. If possible, he doesn't want to kill people like the Blackwater department. After all, building a city requires manpower. There are sufficient resources by the Yunshui Lake to support a county town. These Blackwater tribe savages are the best as slave laborers. As he spoke, Zhang Meng beside him had already lifted the head of the leader of the Blackwater tribe once again. Looking at familiar faces. The soldiers of the Blackwater tribe, after a glance at each other, finally knelt down on the ground. An elderly worshipper also walked out of the tribe. My Blackwater department is willing to submit, please spare your life. It is common for tribes in the wilderness to assimilate into each other. Many people may not even hate their enemies. On the contrary, I am glad that I have a stronger force to join. Looking at the person from the Blackwater department kneeling down, a smile appeared on Li Kei's face. At the same time, the system sounds in the mind. Obviously, the reward had been received, which made him look forward to it. After all, I lack everything now. Whether it's materials or talent. Chapter 5. Choosing a place to build a city. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Congratulations to the host for surviving on the first level intermediate battlefield and gaining Mo Zhai's loyalty, identity. The first generation of Mozi Juzi, cultivation. True element 1 level, due to limited host strength, Mo Zhai's strength is suppressed. After building 10 cities, he will return to his peak state, weapon. High-grade spiritual weapon, Juzi sword, carrying character. Maja, quantity. 30 people, strength. 9 levels of blood transfer, proficient in. Manufacturing, mechanism, carrying the blade. Mozi sword, implanted identity. They are abandoned heretics from various countries and can only run through the wilderness. It is said that they once swam the entire edge of the Whitewater wilderness. After learning about the host's identity, they are willing to join and assist the host in establishing a new country, allowing the Mahist school to spread throughout the world. Expected to arrive in half an hour, please host to receive it. Looking at the data panel, a hint of excitement appeared on Li Kei's face. To establish a new court, besides the people, soldiers, and generals, the most indispensable ones are the craftsmen. If there are no craftsmen, how to build a city and how to cast tools? With the people of the Mahist school, he would save a lot of trouble. They can be said to be the most excellent craftsmen in the world. However, although happy, it did not show. But instead, his gaze fell on Zhang Meng. Control the prisoners and search for supplies that can be taken away. Now that Li Kei is deep into the wilderness, supplies are the prerequisite for everything, and naturally he cannot let go. Otherwise, don't say anything else, it's just that these people under my command can't afford to support themselves. This Blackwater tribe has tens of thousands of people, making it the wealthiest tribe nearby. There must be a lot of supplies. If you can find it, at least in the short term, you don't have to worry about food and supplies. Yes, Your Highness. After Zhang Meng responded, he looked at Wei Wuzu behind him and said, "Leave 100 people to guard the prisoners, the others come with me." With a wave of his hand, he led the people into the Blackwater tribe. And Li Kuo, after having someone light a bonfire, sat down. Roasting a piece of meat on my own, watching the sizzling sound on it, contemplating my future path. At the same time, his gaze couldn't help but glance around, as if he was waiting for someone. Sure enough, an hour won't pass. A group of people rushed over. The leader is a middle-aged man, with a lean body, wearing grey coarse cloth clothes, and a goatee on his chin. Holding a strangely shaped long sword in his hand. Behind him were dozens of young men dressed in black, dressed in strong attire. When I first arrived by Li Kei's side, the group knelt down on one knee and said, "Mo Zhai leads the entire Mo family, willing to join His Highness and help him open up a new dynasty. Get up quickly, I've been waiting for you for a long time." When Li Kuei spoke, he pulled Mo Zhai to his side. Meanwhile, looking at the Wei Wuzu soldier beside him, he said, "Go in and ask Zhang Meng if you have found any wine. Bring out a jar." The soldier dared not hesitate and immediately ran towards the tribe. Li Kuei looked at Mo Zhai and casually fiddled with the meat in his hand, saying, "I've heard of your business. You're proficient in construction, mechanisms, and building a city. This Yunshui Lake, which is 800 miles away, is also a good place. Where do you think it's suitable to build a city? How long will it take to build a city that can accommodate 30,000 people?" As he spoke, his gaze fell on Mo Zhai. After pondering for a moment, the other party took a map from a painter's hand and spread it out before saying, "Your Highness, I have been to Yunshui Lake before and I am quite familiar with it. I think it is most suitable to build a city on the east side of the lake, which is this place." Mo Zhai pointed to a place and said, "The Baishui wasteland is to the east of Daxia. If you are heading east, unless the people of Daxia cross the lake, they will have to detour for thousands of miles. It is indeed safer, and the place referred to by Mo Zhai can be said to have a dangerous terrain, with mountains on both sides and a huge lake ahead. It can be said that it is a place that is easy to defend but difficult to attack. And most importantly, from the map, behind this city-building site lies an endless plain with complex water systems, stretching mountains and rivers, which is truly the strongest foundation for the establishment of the country. And it also indicates a large number of primitive tribes, and the population does not need to be considered. Your Highness, if you want to establish a new dynasty, building a city here is the most stable fortress. As long as you seize this place, even if there are external forces invading, you can still sit firmly on the fishing platform, and the resources here are accompanied. There are spiritual medicines and various minerals growing on the mountain. However, the only thing to worry about is that the strength of the barbarians near here is not weak, and the people's customs are very fierce." After taking a glance at Mo Zhai, Li Kuo pointed to the city-building tunnel pointed out by the other party. "That's it. We either don't do it, or if we want to do it, we'll do the biggest. Such a dangerous place is the best border fortress. Let's build a military city first. As for whether it is dangerous here, he doesn't even consider it. In this world, where is not dangerous? His own prince has come to this wilderness and almost died on the road. And he has a system, the more dangerous the place is, the greater the opportunity it brings to him. In Li Kei's eyes, a look of madness appeared. Mo Zhai immediately stood up and said, Your Highness is wise. Mo Zhai will do his best to build a true fortress for your Highness. Li Jianwei nodded. Your Highness, Your Highness. At this moment, Zhang Meng ran over with a jar of wine. Your Highness, we have already eliminated all the barbarians inside. There are still about 8,000 people left, and we have a lot of supplies. There are over 12,000 weapons, 10,000 stones of food and grass, and about 30,000 horned beasts, all of which are domesticated, he said, panting heavily. The horned beast is a unique animal species in this world, with a gentle personality. It is a herbivorous animal, with delicious meat and the ability to replenish qi and blood. Therefore, it sold very well in all major dynasties. Almost every household in the Baishui wilderness raises some, sometimes exchanging with merchants for items they need. With these supplies, I have enough for myself and the people under my command. They have been eating for a long time, and building a city can be considered a guarantee. Li Jianwei nodded and glanced at Zhang Meng, saying, Load all the supplies onto the truck, press down on the people of the Blackwater tribe, and head to the Yunshui tribe. When the order was given, he stood up. Zhang Meng dared not hesitate and immediately entered the tribe again, starting to organize supplies. But there are too many things. It wasn't until late at night that the crowd returned to outside the Yunshui department. Outside the entire tribe, torches are lit. Many soldiers are guarding at the entrance of the village. After seeing Li Kei and his team arrive, the leader of the Yunshui tribe and the priest both walked out. Behind them, they also followed other tribal leaders. After discovering a large number of prisoners in the rear, without saying much, he immediately knelt down. I've seen the leader. Obviously, these people have really decided to appoint Li Kei as their leader. Looking at the two of them, as well as the soldiers behind them, Li Kei's eyes showed satisfaction. Because living in such a harsh environment as the wilderness, so most of the barbarians have cultivation. The leader and priest of the Yunshui tribe are all carrying 7 levels of blood, and the other warriors are also carrying 2 or 3 levels of blood. Even ordinary barbarians have cultivation in the realm of quenching their bodies. Li Kei was very satisfied. With such cultivation, it would not be difficult to migrate. Let's all get up. Since you all keep your promises, I, Li Kuei, swear here that I won't let you down. Then, he walked into the village. As soon as he sat down in a hall, he took out a map and said, I'm planning to build a city in the east of Yunshui Lake. What do you think? Candlelight fell on the faces of the leaders, flickering bright and dark. After a moment, the leader of the Yunshui tribe stood up and looked at a leader beside him, saying, Yunya leader, this is your territory. Come on. Then, a tall figure stood up and said, It's not that I'm boasting. The position of my tribe is indeed good. If the leader wants to build a city, my Yunya tribe will be the first to support it. For building a city, it is something that every tribe hopes to see. Because it represents civilization. How long does it take to get to your tribe from here? Li Kuei said softly. Migration is a very big thing, and if you go by land, it's a journey of thousands of miles, not just for fun. Leader, if you take a boat, it will take half a day to arrive, and everyone lives by the lake. Basically, there are fishing boats, which is not a problem, even if there are several dangerous places where water demons are lurking in the lake. We are all familiar with it, just go around it. The leader of the Yunshui tribe smiled and said. After receiving a response, Li Kuei didn't hesitate and stood up and said, Okay, then everyone, go prepare. Starting from tomorrow, all tribes will relocate, and I will wait for everyone to arrive at the Xuanjia tribe. When the sound rings. The other tribal leaders stood up and said, "Yes, leader." Then, they each retreated. There was nothing to say overnight, and the next day, the big relocation began at this time. Li Kuei arrived at the Xuanjia tribe early in the morning, and after passing through the lake, there was a canyon where the Xuanjia tribe was located. Behind the canyon lies the plain, with the mountains on both sides separating the entire white plain. It's really a great place. Looking at the boats coming one after another on the lake, constantly shuttling back and forth on both sides. Li Kuei's face showed a smile. Looking at Imo Zhai beside him, he said, "How long will it take to complete the migration?" "Your Highness, although there are many ships, the number of people who need to be relocated is also considerable. It is expected to be as fast as 10 days. First transport the prisoners, and after they dock, they will start logging, quarrying, and refining city bricks on the mountain. You will hand over 8,000 people to you. How long will it take to build a city?" "Prince, these people all have cultivation and a considerable number. Regardless of the cost, in 5 months, we can definitely build a fortress that can withstand risks," Mo Zhai said solemnly. "Okay, then let's start. I'm waiting for your good news." Li Jianwei nodded. In the following period of time, there will be daily migration of famine victims. And the busiest one is Mo Zhai, who first expanded on the basis of Xuanjia village. Enough to accommodate tens of thousands of people. Then, it was ordered that the Maja under his command, as well as the Wei soldiers, escort the prisoners of the Blackwater fortress to start logging and quarrying in the mountains. Although there is more life, these people all have cultivation in their bodies, which is not a big deal. Just give enough food. On the contrary, it was done with great enthusiasm. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 days had passed. On this day, when all the savages around Yunshui Lake have migrated over, Zhang Meng hurriedly ran towards Li Kuei. "Your Highness, we have just received news that many emperors and high-ranking officials have entered the Baishui wasteland, including the Crown Prince of Great Xiao. They have brought many people, horses, and supplies, and it seems that they also want to build a city. Yesterday, many villages were conquered and many people died. Fortunately, we have moved here. Otherwise, we might end up facing them." When the voice sounded, several nearby village leaders showed a look of fear on their faces. After all, although they are fierce, the people of the court are not weak, and they are also very well equipped. If there is really fighting, these tribes on the outskirts of the wilderness are not opponents. Is this something big happening? It's surprising that everyone has come. It seems that we need to increase our strength as soon as possible. These people from various imperial courts are not easy to deal with. How much longer do they have and will they arrive at our place? Li Kuei opened the map and asked. "I don't think I will come over for the time being. They are all fighting across the lake, and because the boats have been taken over by us, if we take a detour on foot, there won't be a month or 2 that won't pass," Zhang Menglian hurriedly said. But Li Kuei's face became even more solemn. "A month or 2 may seem like a good time, but it's just speculation. The people across from the lake may only be a part, but more people may be rushing towards this side. He can't afford to gamble, since the other party doesn't give him time to build a city. Then we can only find ways to increase our strength. Otherwise, with only 200 Wei soldiers and nearly 1,000 tribal warriors, they may not be able to resist it." Then, his gaze shifted to the map. "Then, point to the village road closest to Xuanjia. What is the strength of this Aoki tribe?" "The Aoki tribe is best at picking herbs. They run in the mountains all year round and have a very good relationship with the cloud hunting tribe. They are also very close, so they are almost on the same wavelength. The total number of people from the 2 tribes is over 30,000, making it a large tribe, not even the Blackwater tribe. I have been demanding things from the tribes near Yunshui Lake all year round, and my little one died in their hands. It should be over 20 miles away from us. The leader of the Xuanjia tribe stood up and said. When talking about his son, his eyes couldn't help but turn red. After pondering for a moment, Li Kuei said, "Follow me and be a guide. Let the leader of Yunshui lead the soldiers under his command and be responsible for guarding. I'll go out." Then, he looked at Zhang Meng and said, "Take 100 people and come with me to the Qingmu department." That's right, but Li is preparing to take this Aoki tribe under his command. Especially the cloud hunting department, they are born warriors. Moreover, such a large tribe is sure to take him to a higher level battlefield and receive more rewards. As for whether he can fight or not, Li Kei did not think too much. With my current cultivation and the people under my command, even if I cannot defeat them, I can still escape. Anyway, the reward cannot be lost. And Zhang Meng on the side certainly wouldn't hesitate. After a moment, 100 people were gathered and followed Li Kuei towards the Qingmu tribe. The leader of the Xuanjia tribe is leading the way ahead. More than 20 miles is not far, and with their cultivation, they have already approached the Aoki tribe in half an hour. At this moment, the leader of the Xuanjia tribe pointed to a hill ahead and said, "Flip over and you'll be the Aoki tribe." However, just as his voice fell, I saw a group of people flipping over from behind the hill. There are quite a few hundred people. Everyone was dressed in animal skins, holding weapons in their hands, chatting and laughing. The leader is tall in stature, with totems painted on his face. At this moment, they also saw Li Kuei and others, but when they found Xuanjia, the leader across from them showed a fierce face and slowly walked over. "Xuanjia, I heard that your tribe has added a lot of people and is preparing to go find you to collect this month's offerings. Since you have come by yourself, I will inform you as a provincial official. I don't want anything else from you. Bring 100 women within 3 days, even if you offer them this time." While speaking, he scrutinized Li Kuei and others. However, he didn't take it too seriously. After all, they have thousands of people, and in his opinion, they have an absolute advantage. "Your Highness, he is a warrior of the Aoki tribe, commanding all the warriors of the Aoki tribe. His strength is not weak, and he is at the level of Zhenyuanichong." The leader of the Xuanjia tribe warned carefully. Li Kei, on the other hand, raised his eyebrows and didn't hesitate. He looked at the soldiers behind him and said, "Kill them." Then, surprisingly, he raised his long sword and charged out directly. And as he took action, 100 Wei soldiers followed closely behind. Even if the number of people is at a disadvantage, their footsteps are exceptionally firm, forming a copper wall and iron wall, pushing out horizontally. With every step taken, the ground trembles. At the same time, the sound of the system also echoed in Li Kuei's mind. Detected enemies appearing around the host, battlefield level, first level advanced. Chapter 6. Advanced Battlefield. You are listening at novel-full.audio. Indeed, we have entered a more advanced battlefield, and it seems that the opponent's strength is not weak. However, with Li Kei's cultivation, he is not afraid either. The dragon sparrow sword in the palm emits a cold luster. When the right foot stomps down on the ground, the body bounces out like a shell. The blade in his hand almost merged with him. As the dragon sparrow blade collided with the blade of the Greenwood tribe warrior, the spear in the latter's hand was directly split in half. Then there was his body, with a blood line drawn from the brow bone. When crimson blood seeps out from it, the strong man who claimed to be the first warrior of the Aoki tribe was unexpectedly killed by Li Kuei with a single sword. Shoo, shoo. At the same time, Wei Wuzu soldiers also rushed into the crowd of the Qingmu tribe. The sound of sharp tools piercing through flesh and blood is ringing. This is true slaughter. There is no unnecessary nonsense. The leader of the Xuanjia tribe, looking at the scene before him, couldn't help but have a hint of fear in his eyes. Fortunately, I chose to join Li Kei at the same time, otherwise I'm afraid both myself and my tribe will also be slaughtered like this. Then, he tightened his long sword and gritted his teeth as he rushed into the battlefield. Li Kuei is unaware of the psychological activities of the leader of Xuanjia. Just after killing the warrior of the Greenwood tribe, his body leaped up high, and the sword in his palm cut down like a mountain. A big sun shone behind him, reflecting on his body, becoming the most magnificent background for Li Quebec. Brilliant and dazzling. Bang! When the blade burst out, more than 10 people were directly split off by him. The cultivation of the true Yuan realm is revealed. Among these barbarians in front of them, they are almost invincible. A scream and a roar sounded. At this time, the Wei soldiers also gave up their formation. Although they are wearing heavy armor, their bodies are exceptionally agile. I saw a soldier, whose body had already jumped over 5 meters high while running, with a spear in his palm dragging his body like lightning, piercing downwards. Shit! Then, the cold spear pierced through the shoulder of a savage from the Aoki tribe, and the large shield in his left hand instinctively swept around the Qingmu tribe's savages who were just preparing to rush forward to help. Faced with such an attack, the head was instantly smashed open. Although the battlefield was fierce, the time spent was not long. After all, among all the soldiers of Wei Wu, there are only over 10 opponents per person. They are the elite among the elite. It's not difficult anymore. In less than an hour, the battle had already ended. At this moment, Li Kuei, covered in blood, heard a systematic sound in his mind. Congratulations to the host, Wei Wuzu killed the enemy and gained experience points. His cultivation has broken through to the level of true element. Congratulations to the host, you have gained the experience points of your subordinates, and your cultivation has broken through to the 5th level of true element. Li Kuei, who had previously experienced a fight and felt a bit tired, was still feeling a bit exhausted. I instantly felt a surge of energy surging out of my body. Let him become energetic again. Even stronger than before the war broke out. When looking around, the Wei soldiers under his command were also like this. Only the leader of the Xuanjia tribe was a bit embarrassed at the moment. In the fight just now, he was stabbed on the shoulder. I am currently getting bandaged. However, at this moment, his face was beaming with joy. Obviously, he felt happy to be able to kill the people of the Aoki tribe. After all, my own son died in the hands of these people. At this moment, the sound of the system rang out again in Li Kuei's mind. Congratulations to the host for surviving in the first level advanced battlefield and gaining the loyalty of 500 Xuanjia soldiers, cultivation. True Yuan double, blade. Premium mortal weapon, thunderbolt bow, armor-breaking arrow, wind-breaking spear, wind-breaking blade, armor. Premium mortal weapon, fish-scale armor, warhorse. Black-scaled horse, implanted identity. They are warriors from the depths of the wilderness. After hearing about the gathering of influential sons in Xuanjia from various factions, they are ready to compete with them. After hearing about the host's situation, they are willing to join and help the host establish a new dynasty. They are expected to arrive in an hour. Please accept them. 500 cavalry, and also the most elite Xuanjia army. This was something Li Kuei did not expect. You should know that such cultivation is considered elite even in the imperial court. Then, after looking around, he said, rest in place and have something to eat. After all, after this battle, although my cultivation has improved, my stomach should still be hungry. And what's more, you're facing a big tribe right away. If you don't rest well, you may suffer losses if you start fighting later. Besides, it will take an hour for the Xuanjia army to arrive. After always merging, it's better to launch an attack. After his orders were given, the surrounding Wei soldiers began to light piles of bonfires and then took out dry food to bake. The leader of the Xuanjia tribe also brought out the dried fish and grilled it. When looking at Wei Wuzu, there is an unconscious hint of awe in his eyes. In the past, although I knew that Li Kuei and his army were powerful, I didn't have many concepts. Now, it is finally known. In front of these Wei soldiers, ordinary barbarians would not be opponents at all. Unless it's those people deep in the wilderness. When I thought of this, I became even more determined to follow Li Kei's idea. At this moment, the other party walked over carrying a wine bag. Then, he handed it over to the leader of the Xuanjia tribe and said, "Take a sip." The other party was flattered and took it over, carefully taking a sip before feeling the spiciness of the strong liquor. Then, it was returned to Li Kuo. After seeing the leader of the Xuanjia tribe, he became even more respectful. Li Kuo didn't say much either. Just picked up the wine and drank it alone, waiting for the arrival of the Xuanjia army. And at this moment, in the palace on the other side, Emperor Xia sat on a dragon chair, reviewing memorials. His body was covered in a golden mist. Majestic and mysterious. The attendant Yu Xian on the side, "Be careful standing on the side." After correcting a memorial, the Xia emperor seemed to have thought of something. The red pen in his hand paused for a moment and slowly said, "How is the crown prince?" "Your Majesty, Your Highness, the crown prince has entered the Baishui wasteland, and it is said that he has broken down a deserted stronghold and found a place to build the city. He is preparing to build the city." Not bad," Emperor Xia said calmly. However, there was a hint of satisfaction in the voice. Then he continued, "How is it with the imperial family's self-inspection? Can you find the title battle body in my Daxiali family?" "Your Majesty, all the disciples of the royal family have been inspected and no title or battle body has been found." Yu Xian poured another cup of tea for Emperor Xia and said cautiously, "Alas." As sighs echoed in the main hall. Although he had guessed the result, Emperor Xia was still somewhat disappointed. Yu Xian seemed to have thought of something and whispered, "Your Majesty, there is actually one person who hasn't been verified." "Who?" Emperor Xia frowned. The temperature in the main hall suddenly cooled down. "It's His Highness 9. The entire Chaotian hall suddenly became silent. After a moment, Emperor Xia said, "Isn't the crown prince targeting Lao Jiu?" A colonel under the command of Uncle Guo was sent to the wilderness by the newly appointed 9th lady, but he never returned. He mostly died in the wilderness. The 9th prince is nowhere to be found, but he should still be alive. At this point, Yu Xian appeared even more cautious. At this moment, Emperor Xia's face darkened. "If you're not dead, then you're not dead. The inheritance of the great Xia still depends on the crown prince, especially at this time. The opening of the Baishui wasteland is of utmost importance, and we must not let the crown prince be distracted. I, the Li family of Daxia, have not appeared in the title battle body. If I enter the top 10 of the young dragon list, I will recognize my ancestors and return to my ancestors. This is the last hope. Such an opportunity will not exist for thousands of years. Please inform the royal family to cross out the name of Lao Jiu from above. From now on, he has no relationship with me, the Li family of Daxia. Remember to tell the world." The words of Emperor Xia exuded a hint of desperation. And a hint of coldness. Yu Xian was shocked. If in the past, the name of the 9th prince was still on the imperial jade register, then even if the imperial uncle's mansion wanted to target him, he wouldn't dare to make it public. If the name is really scratched from above, the other party will really be reckless. Even if the 9th prince is stranded in the wilderness, with the careful eye of his uncle, he may still send someone to pursue him. He was about to open his mouth and say something. The voice of Emperor Xia, devoid of any emotion, rang out, "Go ahead." "Yes, Your Majesty." Yu Xian could only retreat cautiously. After leaving the main hall, I couldn't help but sigh. Back then, when he was not yet the head of the harem, he went out on a mission and was seriously injured before returning. As there was no one to take care of him, he almost starved to death in this deep palace. Empress Dowager Qing once had a meal for him. Yu Xian remains unforgettable to this day. So, he would occasionally say a few good words in front of the Xia emperor. But who would have thought that he had been of great help? At the same time, my heart was even colder. Your Majesty is even colder than before. Without hesitation, he immediately headed towards the ancestral mansion. At this moment, Li Ke knew nothing about these things, and even if he knew, he wouldn't take them to heart. After eating and drinking enough, an hour passed in the blink of an eye. From afar, a cavalry team rushed towards them. A black warhorse of one water, with knights wearing black armor and a ferocious face armor on it. Carrying a long sword at the waist and a spear in the hand. The big bow hangs on the flank of the warhorse, with an arrow pot on its back, which can be said to be armed to the teeth. With the arrival of this cavalry, the Wei soldiers around Li Ke stood up. The leader of the Xuanjia tribe also appeared very nervous. Don't panic, my own people. After seeing them like this, Li Ke smiled and said. Sure enough, as the cavalry rushed closer, they all dismounted one after another. I fell at the feet of Li Kuei and said, I've seen my lord. Let's all be flat. Since you're here, let's join forces and head towards the Qingmu tribe. Li Kuei smiled and said. There was no explanation given for the appearance of the Xuanjia army. They are all their own subordinates, and there is nothing to explain. Then, he signaled to the leader of the Xuanjia tribe to lead the way. The group headed straight towards the Aoki tribe. They were already not far from each other. After climbing over the hill, after a while, I saw a village from afar. It has to be said that compared to the Blackwater tribe, this Qingmu tribe has a certain scale, with earthen walls built around it, which looks more like a small city. As Li Ke and his companions gradually approached, the people inside seemed to have also discovered them. However, when I saw that their numbers were not many, I wasn't too cautious. Instead, a team of people rushed out from inside. The strength of the team leader is not weak, it should be in the true Yuan 5. His cultivation level is on par with that of Li Ke, and the soldiers under his command are also moving blood to higher levels. It has to be said that it is indeed much stronger than the famine victims I have encountered before. However, after taking a glance at the army around me, I still find my advantage. Then, he looked at the leader of the Aoki tribe and said, surrender, or die. But as his words fell, the tribal leader not only showed no fear at all. Instead, he charged forward with his weapon in hand. Li Ke raised his eyebrows without hesitation. Wave your hand to command the army to charge. At the same time, the system's voice rang out again in the mind. Detected enemies appearing around the host, battlefield level, first level advanced battlefield. Chapter 7. Young Dragon List Present. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Li Ke's blade swung on the people of the Qingmu tribe. Wherever it passed, there was an astonishing shower of blood floating by. Behind them, Wei Wuzu soldiers lined up and pushed horizontally towards the front, their huge shields turning into iron walls. When the spear is pointed out, it is invincible. The Xuanjia army, on the other hand, rode their warhorses and launched a charge. The cold blades were lifted by them, and when they approached the people of the Aoki tribe, they relied on the powerful inertia of the warhorses. Shit! A centurion of the Xuanjia army pierced through the chest of a barbarian. After habitually throwing it out, continue to search for the next goal. The leader of the Qingmu tribe in front of Li Ke, although only briefly in contact, was also shocked by the scene before him. The strength of this team in front of us is too strong. Within a short period of time, the people under my command had already been killed in disarray. After all, facing cavalry on this wilderness, they have no advantage at all. But Li Kyuk did not stop. The long sword in his hand swung straight towards the leader of the Aoki tribe. The opponent raised their weapon to resist, bang. When the two weapons collide, the body of the leader of the Aoki tribe kept retreating towards the rear. A hint of horror appeared in the eyes. The just blow made him feel an irresistible sensation. At this moment, both arms are numb. And Li Kuo will not stop. He took a few steps forward and kicked out the leader of the Qingmu tribe when his successors were powerless. Above the battle boots, a brilliant light flickered. Boom! The leader of the Aoki tribe was kicked out directly, with blood gushing from his mouth and nose. Li Kuo walked forward. The blade slashed down directly, hiss. A great head was directly chopped off by him. The people of the Aoki tribe around saw that their leaders were all killed. The fearful light in his eyes flashed away. At this moment, Li Kai did not care about them. After a cold glance, lift the head of the leader and shout to the people of the surrounding Aoki tribe, surrender, do not kill. As his voice fell, the tribal warriors who had already been beaten and had no fighting power, looked at each other and then knelt down sparsely. No one wants to die, especially when the leader is killed. They understand in their hearts that even if they resist, they will only die in vain. After the Aoki tribe surrendered, the elderly, weak, women, and children in the tribe are sobbing, crying carefully. Zhang Meng, on the other hand, began to rampage inside with people, searching for available supplies. Rows of people from the Qingmu tribe were organized and headed towards the Xuanjia tribe. Li Kai found a place to sit down. Not many people were killed in this battle, and most of the Aoki tribe chose to surrender. So, the soldiers under his command did not break through. However, there are not many rewards. At this moment, the sound of the system sounds in my mind. Congratulations to the host for surviving in the first level advanced battlefield and obtaining 500 Wei soldiers, implanted identity. They are former comrades of Zhang Meng and others who were persecuted by their superiors and had to enter the wilderness. When they heard that the host was here, they were willing to come and seek refuge. They are expected to arrive in half an hour. Please accept them. The system's reward brought a satisfied smile to Li Kai's face. With the addition of these 500 Wei soldiers, the number of troops rewarded by his system reached 1,300. On this wasteland, there is also some capital. Next, it's time to deal with the Cloud Hunting tribe, whose strength may be stronger than the Qingmu tribe. After all, the Cloud Hunting department relies on hunting for a living. Fighting with wild beasts year-round, the combat effectiveness is certainly much stronger. According to the news, they are less than 10 miles away from the Aoki tribe, and now they may have received the news. It won't take much time. Both sides should meet soon. When he thought of this, Li Kai not only showed no fear, but also showed anticipation on his face. If we also take down this Cloud Hunting tribe, I should be qualified to argue with those princes and empresses who have entered the wilderness. When I thought of this, I started to close my eyes and rest my mind. As time goes by, when half an hour has passed, step on it. The sound of hurried footsteps and collision with Jia Yi sounded. When Li Kuo opened his eyes, he saw a team rushing towards his direction. He is undoubtedly the 500 Wei Wu soldiers. Tall in stature, with firm steps. Li Kai was very satisfied. Just as they arrived, the several centurions led by them showed excitement on their faces. I have met your highness. You have come a long way and are fortunate to have suffered a lot. Let's take a break first. There may be another fierce battle later. Obey me. The soldiers of Wei Wuzu immediately said. However, they did not really rest, but scattered around and began to be vigilant. And helped Zhang Meng detain the prisoners. Li Kai, on the other hand, looked towards the distance with his gaze. The battle may not take long and will begin. However, at this moment, the boundary of the White Water Wasteland. Boom! 100 Zhang giant monument came from outside the sky and fell to the ground. At the top, there is the word embryonic dragon written. Below, there are names one by one. After someone saw it, they cautiously came to watch. After discovering that there was no danger, he approached the giant monument and looked at it. On the bronze monument, there is a mysterious energy floating. The name above surprisingly changes. Prince de Qian, Zhangfeng, ranked 6320, has elite troops under his command, the Qinyan army. Prince de Xia, Li Hun, ranked 309th, has elite troops under his command, known as the Lihua army. Is this the means of the immortal court? It's so strange and unpredictable that everyone's news has been released. Someone exclaimed in surprise. His eyes showed disbelief. At this moment, his companion smiled and said, "Hee, I don't think so. Look at the giant monument, isn't it still on the outskirts of the Baishui plain? It means you are still afraid of its existence inside." As the words fell, many people nodded in unison. At this moment, a surprised voice rang out again, "Why doesn't this place with a rank of 239 have a name? The Xuanjia army, Wei Wuzu, have never heard of it before. Which dynasty's strong army?" However, everyone shook their heads coincidentally. But these two names are remembered in everyone's hearts, because their owners are so special that they are not displayed on this giant monument. At this time, Li Ke was unaware of these. Now he gazes into the distance. Because a team is slowly approaching them. The number should be around 3,000 people, and it is very strong when running. Screaming occasionally. Holding a bow and arrow in his hand, it was obvious that these were the people of the cloud hunting tribe. After seeing such a scene, Li Kue stood up. Facing the soldiers beside him, he said, "Wei Wuzu, raise your shield and advance. The Xuanjia army will charge on the flank, kill. There is nothing to say about these cloud hunters. Just hit it directly." After his orders were issued. The dragon sparrow knife in hand has also been raised. At the same time, the system sounds in the mind. Detected enemies near the host, battlefield level, first level advanced. Chapter 8. Emperor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After hearing the sound of the system, the anticipation in Li Kue's eyes flashed away. Then, he led his army and charged forward. The shield in the hand of Wei Wuzu was raised, and when it stood in front, it turned into a row of iron walls, blocking the bows and arrows of the hunting cloud clan. When feather arrows collide with each other, just make a jingling sound. But it could not cause any harm to Wei Wuzu at all. At this moment, the Xuanjia army had already rushed out. They swam along the flank. The bow and arrow in the palm were removed. Collapse. Collapse. As feather arrows flew out, in an instant, members of the cloud hunting clan were shot and killed. Beams of light float one after another. Splashing blood flowers, and even more screams rang out. Hundreds of soldiers from the hunting cloud clan fell to the ground. Obviously, facing the attack of the Xuanjia army, they did not have the strength to fight back. At this moment, Wei Wuzu had already raised his shield and approached the people of the hunting cloud tribe. Without the advantage of bows and arrows, when facing close combat, they, who already have a strength gap, are naturally not opponents of Wei Wuzu. In a moment, he was killed in disarray. Especially when cavalry charge into the battlefield, they have even less strength to fight back. We can only allow the people under Li Ke's command to rampage within our own team. Such a scenario. The leader of the hunting cloud clan's eyes were filled with despair. At this moment, I finally couldn't bear it. "I surrender, please forgive the lives of my people." When speaking, the tall figure knelt down on the ground. It is not shameful to submit to each other on this wasteland. Li Kue watched this scene and did not order a large-scale killing. But instead, his eyes focused on the leader of the hunting cloud tribe. Leading the way ahead. When speaking, he led his Xuanjia army towards the hunting cloud tribe. With these two tribes, in addition to the current population of the Yunya tribe, after the city is built, there will be nothing else to do. As the team had just set off, the sound of the system rang out again in his mind. Congratulations to the host for surviving in the first-level advanced battlefield and gaining the loyalty of 500 Wei soldiers, implanted identity. A warrior wandering in the middle of the wilderness, with nowhere to go now. After hearing about the host's deeds, he came to seek refuge and requested the host to receive him. It is expected to arrive in half an hour. The system's reward made Li Ke very satisfied. With the addition of these Wei soldiers, one's own strength should be able to take it to the next level. Let the person across the lake fight first, isn't it good for him to improve his strength here? As Li Ke walked, he looked around. This was a real plain with forests and rivers, which was very nice and the most suitable place for building a city. When we come outside the Cloud Hunter tribe, I saw a village no smaller than the Aoki tribe standing tall. The people inside obviously also discovered Li Ke and his companions, as well as the clan chief who was under custody. Everyone's eyes showed a look of fear. I don't know what happened. At this moment, a team from afar also rushed towards them, and it was undoubtedly the 500 Wei soldiers who had just been rewarded. After seeing Li Ke, he knelt down on one knee and said, "I've seen your highness. Let's all be flat." Li Ke said with a smile. Then, staring at the leader of the Hunting Cloud clan on the side, he said, "Let your people come out and surrender, otherwise you will know the consequences." Although Li Ke only brought 500 Xuanjia soldiers, with the addition of these 500 Wei soldiers, it is no longer a problem to destroy the Lion tribe in front of him. The other party certainly dare not neglect. Quickly approaching, looking at the tribe's humanity, everyone comes out to pay their respects to our new leader. Don't resist, otherwise I won't be able to save you either. When people in the tribe see the tribal chiefs saying this, everyone looked at each other and then walked towards the outside. Fear appeared in the eyes. Then, a large number of Wei soldiers rushed into the village and began searching for various supplies. Li Ke found an open place. Someone lit a campfire and sat on the side, grilling dried meat while drinking strong liquor. Meanwhile, take out the map and plan what to do next. One night without a word, the next day. After all the supplies from the two tribes are cleared out. Zhang Meng also hurriedly ran over. "Your Highness, all the supplies have been cleared out. There are 30,000 stones of grain, about 60,000 heads of horned beasts, and more than 30,000 weapons. There are more than 25,000 captured barbarians. Take them all back." After stretching lazily, Li Ke said calmly. "The bonfire around me has also been extinguished at this moment. Next, we need to establish a city. With these people, it may not take 5 months. Mainly with the city, there is a foundation for fighting against all sides. After all, one's own resources cannot be compared to those princes and empresses." "Yes, Your Highness." After receiving the order, Zhang Meng dared not hesitate and quickly spoke up. "Then, take the person towards the direction of Yunyabu." Li Ke looked at the long queue with a satisfied expression in his eyes. Nowadays, he is very urgent about population. After all, in order to establish a new dynasty and establish a foothold on the Baishui wasteland, population is the most important. Due to the large number of people, the journey of dozens of miles took half a day to complete. When I first returned to the Yunya tribe, I noticed that there had been significant changes here. The people in the village were hardly idle, some were fishing, some were going up the mountain hunting, and others started logging spontaneously. And some women have gone up the mountain to pick fruits. There is almost no idle time. It has to be said that with these tribal leaders present, he also saved a lot of trouble. However, what Li Ke didn't expect the most was the foundation of the city has already begun to be laid. This progress is already considered very fast. After the grain was stored, Li Ke walked towards his camp. But at this moment, the leader of the Yunshui tribe hurriedly walked over. Before Li Ke set off, he was tasked with guarding the Yunya department. Your Highness, someone is starting to come towards us, with a considerable number of people. It is said that many villages have been broken down along the way. Li Jianwei nodded. After all, the wilderness is so large that not everyone will choose the location across the lake to enter. There are also people from different places, but since they have arrived, they can only choose to fight. Now, the soldiers under his command have also surpassed 1,000. With their combat effectiveness, even if there are thousands of soldiers on the opposite side, they may not necessarily be opponents. When I think of this. Looking up at the head of Yunshui, he said, how long does the other party have to walk? At the latest 3 days, the location should be from the direction of Emperor Shirling. After receiving the reply, Li Ke couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. The imperial court, that is a more significant existence than the imperial court. However, those who can enter the Baishui wasteland are all the younger generation, and he is not afraid of fighting among his peers. After all, even the Immortal Dynasty is wary of the existence deep in this wilderness. It's just an imperial dynasty. Nature dares not rebel. When I think of this. Even then, I also let go of my heart. Continue to go out for patrols, keep an eye on these people, and report any movements at any time. Yes, Your Highness. After the leader of Yunshui responded, he hurriedly left. And at the same time, on the other side at this moment, a group of people and horses are slowly walking towards the direction where Yun Yabu is located. The leader is a man dressed in a red python robe, with a jade belt hanging from his waist and a handsome face. Despite his gloomy gaze, he gives off a very uncomfortable feeling. He was the third prince of the Shirling Emperor's dynasty, named Shi Zhong. He has extremely strong strength, although only 18 years old, he has already entered the 5th level of the true element. Among all the princes and empresses who came to the wilderness with top-notch combat bodies, they are considered a good presence. And the army they led was also the 3,000 Heaven's Stone army of the Shirling Emperor's dynasty. It is said that their bodies were as strong as stubborn stones, and when they charged, they were like a meteor shower, with very strong combat effectiveness. Your Highness is truly brave. Just now, he knocked down the crown prince of the great Xia dynasty and begged for mercy. In the future, those princes and emperors on this wasteland will probably have to walk around when they see you. A general beside Shi Zhong smiled and said. Now, they have gathered 30,000 wilderness residents, and as long as they find a suitable place, they can directly build the city. However, the third prince calmly said, it's just a crown prince of the great Xia dynasty. My real opponent should be a descendant of the heavenly emperor. It is said that the 8th princess of the Shenzhou Dian heavenly dynasty has also entered the wilderness, hoping to have the opportunity to enter the Immortal Dynasty. That's the real opponent. At this point, a glimmer of light appeared in my eyes. Your Highness is saying that it's just a crown prince of a dynasty, it's really not worth mentioning. The person next to Shi Zhong smiled and said. At this time, Li Ke was unaware of the fighting outside. Nowadays, he spends almost every day in the Yunya department, leading his subordinates to clean up supplies. After all, the number of subordinates now is almost 50,000. Materials will be a very crucial thing. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye, when all the supplies had already entered the warehouse. Facing life and death without fear, Zhang Meng was sweating profusely due to a pile of account books, saying, Your Highness, we have already cleared everything up. Our current grain is 80,000 stones, and there are over 100,000 horned beasts. There are about 600 fishing boats that can enter the lake to fish every day. These grains add up to enough for all of us to eat for 3 months. Although there is a lot of food, the barbarians are all cultivators, and their appetite is very large. Even 10 ordinary people may not be able to match the appetite of a person in the quenching stage. We can't kill all the horned beasts, can we? Therefore, it is necessary to obtain sufficient food within 3 months. Moreover, having food will not limit one's development. Li Kuei thought to himself. Your Highness, Your Highness. At this moment, a shout sounded. When looking towards the distance, I found that the leader of Yunshui had run over. After just stopping and taking a few breaths. Just speak up. Your Highness, it's not good. That team has already approached us and is expected to arrive in less than an hour. When his voice rang out, Li Kei was not afraid either. After standing up, he said calmly. Then go take a look, you take the tribal soldiers to guard the prisoners. He still has great confidence in the soldiers under his command. When the sound sounded, he stood up. Bang! Bang! After a moment, the deep sound of war drums sounded. All the Xuanjia army and Wei soldiers also began to approach Quebec. After a moment, a team of 1,300 people had already gathered together. Heading towards the army of Emperor Shirling, they welcomed them. When both sides can vaguely see each other. Shizhong raised the corner of his mouth lightly and said to the general beside him, You are another person who knows nothing about life or death. Take someone up and destroy them. When a calm voice rings. That day, the generals of the Stone Army naturally didn't hesitate, and with a wave of their palms, they said, Charge. At the next moment, the horse leaped forward with its whip. At the same time, the sound of the system rang out in Li Kuei's mind. Detected enemies around the host, battlefield size, purgatory level first level battlefield. Chapter 9. Adding wings like a tiger. You are listening at novel full.audio. At this moment, many people are staring at the list of young dragons. Someone looked at the name jumping on it and exclaimed in surprise, the ranking of Shizhong has increased again, to the top 198th place. Have you all heard of it? The Crown Prince of Daxia, who was beaten by Shizhong, knelt down and begged for mercy. 3,000 soldiers left the fire army, and less than 300 survived. The newly accumulated famine victims and all their supplies have been lost. It's really miserable. Haha, I heard that the Xia Emperor was very strong. I'm afraid he's not very angry this time. Alas, everyone, don't joke anymore. After all, it's Shizhong. It's said that their Shirling Emperor dynasty is already at the pinnacle of the imperial dynasty, and they have a great chance of being promoted to the heavenly dynasty in the near future. That's not just talk. Don't say it's the Crown Prince of Daxia. If we encounter him, we may have even more misfortune. Waves of sound rang out. A man standing next to the young dragon list, with a flash of light in his eyes, took out a communication jade talisman and spread the message. Within the great Xia imperial city, the current emperor of Xia looked at the news just sent by his subordinates. His face was very gloomy. His crown prince, who had just gone to the Baishui wasteland, was unexpectedly defeated. Moreover, they suffered a very tragic defeat. After a flicker of gaze in his eyes, he finally sighed and said to the attendant beside him, once again allocate 3,000 Lihua soldiers, along with supporting supplies and craftsmen, to go. Yes, Your Majesty. After responding, Yu Xian cautiously prepared to step down. However, the Xia Emperor seemed to have remembered something again, waving his hand and saying, there are two more things to pay attention to. Pay attention to the movement of this stone clock, and let the Crown Prince avenge it himself. Another thing is that I heard that Princess Ada of De Yen has also gone to the wilderness. Send someone to pay their respects and present me with a gift from the Xia, so that the Crown Prince can go in person. Obey me. When Yu Xian walked out of the main hall, the Xia Emperor, however, exhaled a deep breath of turbid air. Although the Crown Prince was defeated, he is ultimately his best son, and one more thing is that this is his last hope for entering the main lineage. It has almost become obsession. When I thought about searching, even my eyes turned red at this moment. Because as long as one becomes a member of the main lineage, not only can their name be listed on the lineage of the main lineage, but they also become true members of the Heavenly Emperor clan. From then on, even when facing the Great Emperor, the other party must stand up and salute, and can obtain a large amount of resources. It represents supreme honor. Therefore, he will definitely not miss this opportunity. At this time, Li Ke was unaware of these things, and now his eyes sparkle with a cold luster. Watching the celestial stones rushing up. The killing intent permeates the body. These people are definitely considered elite. Although they are infantry, they can run a bit faster than warhorses when running. As each step is taken, the ground shakes. And with a tall figure, the exposed skin shimmers faintly. Almost every cultivation is moving blood 9 times. Compared to the Wei soldiers whose cultivation has not improved in the past, they are all no worse. However, now it's almost interesting. After all, Wei Wuzu was elevated to the true Yuan realm. As the stone army approached closer and closer that day. Without hesitation, Wang Zheng led a large army to charge forward, although the number of people was slightly less than the opponents. But after the powerful combat power erupted. But it feels incredibly shocking. Kill. Both sides roared at the moment of collision. Then, I saw the blades of the Tianshi army fiercely hitting the shield of the Wei soldiers. When the two intersect, a fiery spark bursts out unexpectedly. Shit. However, Wei Wuzu's spear directly penetrated the body of the person on the opposite side. Blood flowed out. The vanguard in the front row of the Tianshi army was instantly killed or injured in large areas. Boom. At the same time, the Xuanjia army holding spears also charged forward at this moment. The battle officially begins at this time. Sticky blood spilled over the battlefield. Li Ke held a long sword and charged towards the general of the stone army that day. Although the latter enjoys flattering the third prince on weekdays, their overall strength is not inferior. True Yuan 8-fold cultivation. With the addition of a heavy hammer in hand, most people really cannot match it. This is also the reason why Emperor Shiling sent him to follow the third prince, although he was somewhat surprised that the soldiers under Li Ke's command were so powerful. But he was not afraid, because in his opinion, as long as Li Ke was killed, everything would be fine. However, at this point, I miscalculated. He, who is just a lower-level warrior, has a significant difference from Li Ke's title-based warrior. Even if he is stronger in strength. But now Li Ke has the strength to challenge beyond his level. Therefore, just as the hammer in his hand swung. In Li Ke's eyes, a hint of coldness appeared. Jumping up, he slashed towards the stone army general that day. Not only fast, but also heavy. His knife, with every strike, feels like a meteor falling from outside the sky. Amidst the sharpness, there is a hint of heaviness. Who would have thought that a sharp blade could swing a heavy war hammer continuously? Blood-colored cracks appeared on the palms of the Tianshi army generals. His arms were numb at this moment. It seems like it's about to collapse at any moment. His face was covered in horizontal flesh, constantly shaking. He is a brave general of the Heavenly Stone Army, and among the same realm, he bravely leads 3 armies, which is why he was sent out to follow the third prince. He knows this is an opportunity for himself to rise. But I never expected to encounter such a tough problem in the early stages. That shining blade, every time it falls. It made his heart tremble. Bang! Finally, numb hands could no longer hold the war hammer. Shock fly directly out. And Li Ke, at this moment, calmly glanced at him. With a body turn, the blade moves at an extremely fast speed. Scratch over the other person's neck. The commanding commander of the Heavenly Stone Army was thus beheaded in place. The head flew high. Until the fall, an unbelievable look filled my eyes. I never expected to die at the hands of a young man. Moreover, the other party's realm is even lower than oneself. But now everything is too late. After the death of the Stone Army general that day, the Celestial Army on the battlefield collapsed completely in an instant, lacking morale. Faced with the slaughter of Wei Wuzu and Xuanjia army. In less than half an hour, they had already been completely slaughtered. At the same time, the sound of the system rang out in Li Kuei's mind. Congratulations to the host, you have received the blessing of experience points from your subordinates, and your cultivation has reached the 6th level of true element. Congratulations to the host, the mighty soldier has gained the blessing of experience points, and his cultivation has reached the level of true element double. Congratulations to the host, the Xuanjia army has gained the blessing of experience points and reached the level of true element triple cultivation. As the voice sounded, a smile appeared on Li Kei's face. Feeling the sudden surge of powerful energy within the body, he had the illusion that he could lift a hill. Of course, this is a feeling that arises after a breakthrough in cultivation. But now he is really much stronger than before. At this moment, the system sound rang out again. Congratulations to the host for surviving in the first level purgatory battlefield and gaining the loyalty of Bien Ke, cultivation. True Yuan 1 level, identity. 4th rank alchemist, due to the limitation of the host's strength, the alchemy ability is suppressed. After refining 1,000 rounds of elixirs, it can be restored to its peak, carrying treasures. Top grade spiritual weapon, Medicine King Stove carrying characters. 50 disciples, cultivation. Moving blood 5 levels, 6th rank alchemist, implanted identity. They are descendants of the human race and have been living in the depths of the wilderness. While wandering the world, they discovered their host and believed that you had a human-like appearance, so they absolutely sought refuge. They are expected to arrive in half an hour. Please accept them. Li Kei's face showed excitement. In the wilderness, there is never a shortage of various medicinal herbs. What they lack is the people who refine pills. The alchemists in the world are divided into 9 grades from low to high, with 9 grades being low and 1 grade being high. Bien Ke's alchemy ability has been suppressed, and he is actually a 4th level alchemist, and even his disciples are 6th level alchemists. This can be said to be a very valuable asset. After all, even in the imperial court, 6th grade alchemists can be said to be rare, let alone Bianc, a 4th grade alchemist. With the other party, it is not an exaggeration to say. The famine victims under their own command also have the capital to advance to a higher level. After all, the wilderness clock has never lacked precious medicinal herbs, it just lacks powerful alchemists. Now with the Bien Ke, it can be said that it is like adding wings to a tiger. How can you be unhappy when you think of this? Then, his gaze swept over and focused on the stone clock. At this moment, his complexion was not good, and his most elite army had already been defeated. Only he himself, as well as a few guards guarding the barbarians. However, Li Kei is not prepared to let him go. Since you have come to this place, you must be prepared to die. At the same time, the system's voice rang out again in the mind. Detected enemies around the host, battlefield level, advanced 1st level battlefield. At this moment, a smile appeared on Li Kei's face. Chapter 10. 2nd Class Battlefield. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Then, Li Kei did not hesitate. Wave your hand directly to the army under your command, signaling to kill them. And he rushed towards Shizhong. Not to mention the rewards after killing the opponent, the large number of savages carried by Shizhong, as well as the looted craftsmen and supplies, all made him very envious. After all, the food of the Xuanjia tribe is only enough for everyone to eat for 3 months now. This can be very dangerous. It's not what Li Kuo wants to see either. So, the supplies of the person opposite him became something he had to seize. And with the issuance of orders, Wei Wuzu and Xuanjia army immediately rushed out. Li Kuo also made a leap and approached Shizhong. At this moment, the latter's eyes flickered with light. Without any fear, a golden sword appeared in the palm of his hand and met Li Kuo. The moment the sword collided, it made a piercing sound. At this moment, Shizhong finally felt the pain of his generals just now. Who would have thought that a person's blade could be so heavy? It's even more uncomfortable than colliding with a sledgehammer. The long sword in the palm is almost ready to be released. At the same time, I couldn't help feeling shocked in my heart, knowing that I am an absolute pride among my peers. At a young age, one's cultivation has reached the true Yuan realm. Moreover, the foundation is very solid. The road ahead will be smooth sailing. But who would have thought that suddenly someone appeared in front of them? He is about the same age as himself, but his combat effectiveness is so strong that he feels invincible. But now, I can't care about anything else. Because Li Kei's attack has arrived again. The cold blade even made him feel like his body was freezing stiff. Sting. Although he dodged sideways, he still got a knife in his shoulder, revealing a dense white bone. Xuanjia knew that if he continued to fight, he would undoubtedly die. Without hesitation, I crushed the jade talisman in my hand. Then, his body became elusive and disappeared into place in an instant. This is a life-saving item sent by the Stone Spirit Emperor before he came to the Baishui Wasteland, named the Teleportation Jade Talisman. It can make his body move hundreds of miles away in an instant. Only this one, the stone clock, was originally intended to challenge the nobles of the Heavenly Dynasty. Now, it is being used on Quebec. At this moment, the other party saw the disappearance of the stone bell. Although I was a bit puzzled, I didn't make too much fuss. These princes, emperors, must have life-saving items in their hands. It's not surprising. When I looked around, I found that all the guards of Xuanjia had already been taken care of. He jerked his head towards Zhang. Signal the other party to come forward and inspect the spoils of war. I walked to the side. Clean the dirt on the armor. At the same time, the system sounds in the mind. Congratulations to the host for surviving in the advanced first-level battlefield. Reward the method of refining dragon blood pill, effect. It can allow people who move blood to enter the true Yuan realm as soon as possible. Please accept it. On Li Kei's face, a smile flashed away. With this elixir, one can cultivate warriors for the wilderness on their own. Then, within the system space, a prescription appeared. Li Kei was very satisfied, and when he was ready to go back, he found Bianca to refine it. Then, he continued to clean up the plasma and residue on the armor. After a moment, Zhang Meng hurriedly ran over and said, "Your Highness, we have already figured it out. There are a total of 3 million stones of grain that they plundered, as well as various craftsmen and tens of thousands of people. The number of savages is around 30,000. Li Kei raised his eyebrows. With these 40,000 people added, the number of people in my own city has now reached 80,000. And 3 million stones of grain. Moreover, it is what is most needed now. With these, he can absorb the homeless without restrictions. Take it all back." Li Kuei said with a smile. At this moment, the fledgling dragons on the border of Baishui Wasteland were on the list. The name, shrouded in a golden mist, is rapidly climbing upwards, rising directly to 98th place. As for that stone clock, it has already fallen off the list and its name can no longer be seen. This news may not be a big deal for others. But the Crown Prince of Xia showed an excited expression on his face. He came to the border of Baishui Wasteland today to receive supplies from the Imperial Court for re-support. I didn't expect to see such good news. Thinking about kneeling in front of Xuanjia that day, he couldn't help but become angry and ashamed. At this moment, the steward of the Crown Prince's mansion, who was following beside him, flattered and said, "I don't know who took the initiative." He knocked down the stone bell directly from the list, which is really a relief. After hearing the voice, Crown Prince Xia couldn't help but raise his eyebrows and said, "He must be a top-notch Jinjiao. Xuanjia's strength is still very strong, and he can defeat him. He will definitely be our great enemy in the future." Then, without further ado, we waited for the arrival of supplies. He received news that the second batch of supplies from Xia would be delivered today, but what angered him was that the one escorting the supplies was his younger brother who was the least friendly to him. Moreover, the strength of the other party's mother's family is not weak, and he is not easy to take action, which is really uncomfortable. Meanwhile, more people are curious about who Li Ke is and why his name does not appear on the list of young dragons. However, the other party at this time is not aware of these. Now he has returned to the Xuanjia department. The entire city is still under construction. But as the number of people increased, the foundation of the city also had to expand. Hand over all the barbarians and craftsmen to Mo Zhai. Li Kue is ready to go back and rest. However, at this moment, Zhang Meng hurriedly walked over. Your Highness, a group of people came outside and said they wanted to see you. The leader's name is Bien Quebec. Li Ke raised his eyebrows. Please come in and bring me into my tent. Zhang Meng naturally dared not hesitate and immediately retreated. As soon as Li Kegang entered his camp, a figure slowly walked in. He has crane hair and a childlike appearance, his body slightly hunched, and his whole body is filled with a fragrance of medicine. Holding a cane in hand, with a gourd hanging from it. Even wearing coarse cloth clothes, they dare not be underestimated. Bien Ke paid his respects to the Lord and heard that the Lord had taken over the barbarians from all over the country, and even built cities for them. I am willing to help the Lord and establish a new dynasty of the human race. When the sound rings, a smile appeared on Li Ke's face. Then he said, Sir, you're welcome. Your arrival has made my campsite shine brightly. Then, a prescription appeared in his palm and was placed in the hand of Bianca. This is the refining method of dragon blood pill. I wonder if it can be refined. Bien Ke took it over and glanced at it. A hint of surprise appeared on his face. Your Highness, this should be an ancient elixir. The quality of the refined elixir is much stronger than that of ordinary blood-moving elixirs nowadays. I'm afraid there may not be such a foundation-building medicine in the Immortal Court anymore. I will definitely refine it for you. As for the medicinal herbs used, I have taken a look and found them in the nearby mountains. After receiving a response, a smile appeared on Li Ke's face. I am preparing to form a 5,000-strong army and supply all of this dragon blood pill. The dragon blood pill has a powerful medicinal effect. It is best to take one pill every 10 days, and supply 15,000 pills per month. Give me 3,000 herb collectors, and I will have your Highness army take it next month. Bien Ke said with a smile. After receiving an accurate answer, Li Ke naturally did not hesitate. Okay, in that case, you can choose anyone from the Qingmu tribe. They used to be experts in picking herbs. Thank you very much, Your Highness. Bien Ke hurriedly said. Then, he was left to chat with Li Ke for a while before leaving. In the next few days, Li Ke almost daily patrolled the area with people, searching for nearby large tribes and setting coordinates. Waiting for the attack. Within the Xuanjia tribe, apart from the vigorous establishment of cities. It's about selecting soldiers. Li Ke selected a team of 5,000 from the young and established an army. Every day, Zhang Meng leads the drill. For a while, it was quite lively. On the other hand, the Crown Prince of Daxia stood cautiously outside a campsite. This is also where the establishment of the city began. The defending warrior, dressed in red armor, exudes a powerful aura. Although their cultivation level is only in the true Yuan realm, it can be seen that their foundation is solid, and each one who stands up may not have weaker combat power than the great Xia Crown Prince in the same realm. This is the residence of the 8 princesses of the Great Flame Dynasty. Prince Li Feng of Daxia came to pay his respects to Princess 8. At this point, he had been waiting for a full hour, but still had not received the summons of the 8th princess. But he stood still, afraid to move at all. I'm just worried that my audacity will anger Princess 8. At that time, not to mention entering the main meridian, even the Xia may be implicated. After all, if Princess 8 is really unhappy and destroys an imperial dynasty in just one sentence, there is still no problem. At this moment, he doesn't know how long he waited. A person with an attendant-like appearance hurriedly walked out. A sharp voice rang out, "Eighth princess has gone hunting and is not here today. You can go back. Sorry to bother you so much. My father asked me to take a message. Due to the rules of the Baishui wasteland, he cannot enter it. He came to pay his respects in person. Please forgive me, Princess 8. If there is anything that Princess needs in the future, I will definitely give it my all." Li Feng's attitude can be said to be extremely cautious. In fact, not to mention an 8th princess, any disciple of the main lineage who comes out of the heavenly dynasty, even if the Xia emperor sees it, will kneel and bow down. This is the power of the heavenly dynasty. After glanced at Li Feng, the attendant didn't say much, just impatiently waved his hand. Then, the Grand Crown Prince of Daxia cautiously retreated down. I dare not have any complaints. At the same time, Li Ke was 100 miles away from the Xuanjia tribe, gazing at a distant tribe of barbarians. Here, it can be considered a large tribe with over 100,000 people. There is a big river ahead, a forest in the distance, and an endless plain in the back. There seem to be many tribes in it, and the location is really good. If a city is built, it would be great. It can be a provincial capital. 2 days without wasting time, I have come across such a wonderful place. Li Kue opened his mouth and sighed. Recently, he has traveled many places, and only here is he most satisfied. Your Highness, if a city can be built in this pastoral area, it can radiate dozens of county towns, and there are also enough tribes nearby to support the population. In a few years, it can become a prosperous place. Most importantly, it is not far from the Xuanjia tribe and can serve as the rear of the fortress, said Mo Zhai on the side. Within a radius of thousands of miles, there are still a few large tribes like this. After capturing them all, they can be compared to a stately. Jianwei nodded. A hint of satisfaction appeared on the face. He has plenty of time, but slowly, he can always create a new era. Then, he looked at Mo Zhai and said, "It's getting dark soon. Find a place to rest for the night and go back tomorrow." "Yes, Your Highness." Mo Zhai hurriedly said. Then, Li Ke turned around and prepared to leave with a group of guards behind him. Find a suitable place to settle down. However, just as they walked more than 10 miles away, the sky had completely darkened. In the distance, there were bursts of cries of killing. Li Ke couldn't help but furrow his brow. When looking towards the distance, I found 2 groups of people fighting in front of me. One group was fighting and running, with more than 10 people. However, the most dazzling one was a woman, aged 16 or 17, wearing a red bodysuit. Long hair draped down, holding a curved knife. Her stunning appearance appears even colder under the moonlight. Although she is a woman, her strength is truly extraordinary. In terms of cultivation, it should be in the 7th level of True Yuan. However, unfortunately, the number of people on their side is too small and they have already been surrounded. They are afraid that it won't be long before they are all killed. Your Highness, what should we do? Mo Zhai asked cautiously. Because both sides in the battle are not weak in strength. At first glance, one can tell that one's background is extraordinary. After taking a glance, Li Kue said calmly, "Get ready to leave. Those who can come here to fight are all princes and empresses of various strengths. It's better for him not to cause trouble. After all, it has nothing to do with oneself." However, just as he was about to retreat, the person across from them seems to have noticed them. The people and horses besieging the woman unexpectedly formed a team and headed towards the location of Li Ke and his companions. After seeing such a scene, Li Ke's eyebrows couldn't help but furrow. Then, a cold voice sounded, "We must not let anyone know about this. Kill them all. When the sound rings, It exudes a killing intent. From the mouth of a young man, dressed in a black python robe, it is obviously of extraordinary status. His cultivation is not weak. Judging from the aura he emitted, he was not below the besieged woman. However, he has not taken any action yet, just staring at the woman who is fighting tirelessly. "Princess, hurry up and let's carve out a path for you." At this moment, someone roared. He was a guard next to the woman when he saw someone running out to deal with Li Kuei. Identify a weak point and prepare to kill it. But just as he was charging up with his men to kill, that young master moved. The sword in hand flickered, instantly splitting towards the front. The golden blade of the sword transforms into brilliant rays of light. Shit! The guard who just roared was instantly killed. At the same time, the guards behind him were also beheaded. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 people were killed. At this moment, only the woman remained in the scene, with a hint of sadness in her eyes, but still persevering. As he looked at the unwelcome guest approaching him, Li Kuei glanced at the Xuanjia army beside him and said, "Escort Mr. Mo Zhai back." When the words fall, there is no doubt about it. Your Highness, Mo Zhai will join you in facing the enemy. Let's go now. There are too few people on our side, staying here cannot guarantee the safety of Mozi. After all, although the other party has some strength, they are still a bit weaker in the face of these people ahead, and most importantly, Mo Zhai is not a talent for battlefield combat. On the contrary, it was Li Kuei who also took care of the other party. Therefore, it is better to let Mo Zhai leave first. He also had a good fight. When Li Kuei became serious, Mo Zhai finally stopped talking nonsense. Following the Xuanjia army of more than 10 riders, they headed towards the Xuanjia tribe. At this moment, Li Kuei drew his long sword and without hesitation, went straight towards the person who rushed forward and killed him. At the same time, the system sounds in the mind. Detected enemies around the host, battlefield level, second level low. Level battlefield.